You're watching Chick-fil-A Overtime with me, Corey Miller, on Watch Fox. And good evening, everybody. Again, year number 2. Can you believe it? We're kicking off the Chick-fil-A Overtime, and we're pumped up. We're ready to go. Went through spring practice. Now they're in the summer, and we're ready to talk some football. Of course, the fall, we got a lot of stuff coming up for you, and we're going to make things so special and nice for you. But we're going to start right here in July, the hottest month of the year, and going to talk some football. I'm Corey Miller, Pastor Payne, joined by my good friend, my co-host, Jim Baxter of SCVarsity.com. Jim, it's a pleasure to see you. Not much has changed with you. I mean, your hair still is gray. You got your goatee, and you're rocking the SC Varsity.
Hey, mine's turning gray, yours turning loose. But yeah, it's been busy. You know, a lot of people think that the football season is the busiest time of the year for me. Actually, the off season is the busiest time of the year.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And we definitely went through the spring, and I'm so excited how the spring works in high school. When I was coming along, we didn't have spring practice. We didn't have a chance to put pads on during those months when the football season was over. But going out and we did what we called the Spring Football Tour 2015, Jim. And it was great to see all these schools and how they worked and how, I mean, smooth things ran. And I know you did the same thing. A lot of great teams, a lot of good folks out there getting a lot of good work in.
There was, and it's important because spring's a time where you know you have attrition due to graduation. Spring's a time where you can look at what you've got coming back. Some of the younger players moving up, see what you need to develop during the summer. Summer workouts was another thing that we didn't have coming up. I mean, we basically after the last day of school, we were done and came back in August and started practicing. Now these guys go at it all summer long with workouts, with 7-on-7s, and it's amazing. It's nothing like it was when we were coming up.
One of the unique things, I wouldn't call it unique, I should say, but one of the things that was probably a little bit of an issue for coaches that I talked to as we went around the Midlands and spring tour was the fact that some of the players that playing multiple sports. I mean, they've got playing baseball, they were in the baseball playoffs, guys that were running track. Some teams like White Knoll had to delay their spring practice because their quarterbacks all played baseball, and that became a little bit of a problem for a lot of schools.
Yeah, it's a big problem in some of the smaller schools, but obviously when you've got kids that are playing multiple sports and those sports are going deep into the playoffs, you're going to be missing some of those kids when you start spring practice. You have the whole month of May to do your spring practice. Right. Hopefully it'll be over and you can get some of those kids in practice. But I'm going to tell you that what bothers me as a coach is the summer stuff. If I've got my summer program going and I've got kids that are playing baseball during the summer or basketball during the summer, listen, I don't want baseball players that play football on my team. I want football players that play baseball. Right. In other words, when it's time to play football, it's time to get ready for football. That's the top priority.
But what about those guys that they take summer vacations? I know I was talking to Coach Bennett. He said, you know, you got to deal with those guys. The family got a mountain house or a beach house or whatever. That they got those vacations planned. But we know that football now is a year-round sport. And that's another issue some coaches are having, guys that taking those family vacations.
Yeah, but you're always going to be missing those. But the good thing is that not all of them are going on vacation at the same time. You may be missing 2 or 3 guys here and there, but you're not going to be missing all of them.
Well, one of the big news notes that came out of this offseason high school football was the fact that they now have gone to the classification of 5A. I know you've been a big proponent of that, moving up the classification based on the number of students in high school. And now, 2016, we're going to have 5A football in the state of South Carolina. And I know you're excited about that, and a lot of big schools here in the Midlands are going to be a part of it.
I'm excited about it. I put in a proposal 3 years ago and have actually sent it in every year to let's go to a 5-class system. Now what they voted on is not exactly like the one that I developed, the one that I put out. I wanted to only allow in the region winner and region runner up in the playoffs. They're still going to do the playoffs however the membership wants to do it. If 5A will determine how they're going to do that. But having that 5A classification system, as long as they stay with 1 champion per class, I'm all for it. I think it's a good thing.
I think so too. When you look at Spring Valley and you look at Dutch Fork and White Knoll, Lugoff, Elgin, some of the bigger 4A schools now that will probably move up, Jim. And who's it going to help and who's it going to hurt? When we were talking earlier off air, a team like Lugoff, Elgin, who's going to be the smaller maybe of the 5A, this really, I don't think that's good news for them.
No, I mean, Lugoff Elgin is one of those teams that they've struggled since coming up to 4A. And now you're talking about sending them up to a 5A class. So they're going to lose some of the competition that they've been playing that are smaller than them. Now they're going to be in this 5A and playing up against some pretty big football teams in terms of enrollment numbers. And so I don't think that that's necessarily a good thing for them. They got a new coach out there, Matt Campbell. He's going to do a good job with that program, and I think they're expecting big things over there. But it's going to be tough for them.
Well, I don't like the split. I really don't. Even like how we have it now with the 4A, you got two 4A champions. I like just having a one champion. I mean, really, one 1A, one 2A, one 3A, one 4A, and then next year one 5A. I don't like so much the two-level championship.
I don't either, but I honestly think what's going to happen with this proposal is they're going to go to this 5-class system, and because of the number of teams and because of the disparity in numbers from the largest 5A school to the smallest 5A school, they're going to say, hey, we need to do a 2-division classification. And I think we're still going to end up with an extra champion in at least one of those classes, 5A, maybe even in 4A.
So Dutch Fork, you're thinking Dutch Fork, Spring Valley, White Knoll.
Dutch Fork, Spring Valley, White Knoll, Lugoff, Elgin, those are Lexington. Those are the schools that are going to be in that 5A.
Yeah, it should be pretty good. I think, you know, when it gets there next year, I think it'd be something that we're going to definitely look forward to. But right now, it's all about 4A. We're still going to have the 2 champions. And of course, we're going to get into that a little later on in the program. Who's our favorites right now in the Millings? Of course, you know, some good teams and a lot of teams, Jim, that lost a lot of good football players that they're going to have to replace. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about one of those big schools right here in the Millings, Irmo Yellow Jackets. And last year had a down year with first-year coach Reggie Kennedy. Of course, we know what his resume says and how it speaks boldly. Well, he's in studio with us. He'll join us to talk about his Irmo Yellow Jackets. It's coming up after the break as Chick-fil-A Overtime rolls right along. We'll be back. You're watching Chick-fil-A Overtime with me, Corey Miller, on Watch Fox. All right, well, welcome back to Chick-fil-A Overtime. I'm Corey Miller, now joined by head football coach and AD at Irmo High School, Reggie Kennedy, is in studio with us. It's a pleasure to have you here, Coach, and I know this is a busy time of this summer. It's a busy time for you because you got to keep working, get prepping and 7-on-7. But how's things going for you?
Yeah, it's going well, Corey.
Yeah.
And thanks for having me here
Yes, sir.
today. It's going well. We had a great off season. Our summer workouts has been great. We're real competitive in our 7-on-7 competition, and things starting to fall in place for the Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, you know, last year, of course, 2-9 on the year, not Reggie's typical year, because, you know, you went into Sumter the first year, and I know expectations were very high. You went down there and you took this team, the Gamecocks, to a state title game against Dutch Fork, and folks thought, well, you're going in Irmo, we're going to expect a similar situation there, but it was 2-9. But I counted five games or so, maybe 4 or 5, that touchdown or less from having a victory.
Yeah, you know, Corey, at the end of the day, 2-9 are not acceptable for us.
Right.
And, we lost probably 5 football games by a touchdown or less. In the last ball game, we needed to win to get into the playoff against River Bluff. We gave up a big play with less than a minute left. So hopefully those are just part of the learning curve and the growing pains, and hopefully things will be different this upcoming season.
Now, when I saw you guys out there this spring, you very hyped up practice. You were getting at it. You look, I mean, from the eye test, I should say, you look better. You look bigger. Seem like you're bigger up front. You got some good skilled players. What's the mindset now and the message going into the season?
Well, Corey, like I just said, 2-9 is unacceptable. Our kids know that we got to do things different. We can't do things the same way we did last year. We didn't get the results we wanted. So we had a tough off season in the weight room. We had my first spring with the players was great. We had so far the summer has been going great for us. But our kids want to win, and we know it take a little different effort in order to win.
You know, when you look at Irmo, it's a really, really good athletics program all around. Basketball, baseball, you guys send a lot of kids to college. And how have you adapted with this job? How's it different than Sumter?
It's no different than Sumter, Corey. It's just that Irmo have a lot of tradition in athletics, not just football, basketball, tennis, just a lot of tradition there. The biggest thing I just had to get used to, Corey, just getting the kids just to buy in to what I bring to the table. And I think our kids have did an outstanding job of accepting what we bring to the table. And I think things will be different this go around. Offensively,
let's talk about your offense this year. What are you looking to do? Any changes there? different as far as the X's and O's are concerned, or we just sticking with the basics?
Well, Corey, one thing about taking new jobs is high school a little different from college. A lot of time in college, you can go out and recruit kids for your system. In high school, you got to find the right system to fit your kids. So I think from what we did last year and some of the changes we made in the off season, I think we got a pretty good system, offense and defense, that'll fit our kids so we can be more successful on Fridays.
Now, defensively, I know your defense coordinator, Walt Wilson, is in his second year with you out there. Are you changing anything up front? Are we staying the attacking style? Are we playing? What are we doing there defensively?
We're playing a little bit, a lot more with three hands last year. And only reason we did that because we came in kind of late. And we didn't want to come in making a whole bunch of changes. The kids went through spring playing three hands on defense. And but, you know, I've always been a four-hand guy. I was playing with four hands on the ground, and Coach Wilson. So I think with this off-season, the kids already got a chance to adapt to our system now. I think you see a more of an attacking style defense, being able to do a better job against the run game.
Now, of course, your team is definitely going to be in the mix, and Jim and I was talking earlier about the 5A next year. Irmo is going to be in that mix. You like that idea, or you like the way it is now?
Well, I'm gonna be from where we're located. We're gonna be playing schools in the Midlands, so we don't worry about the 5As or the 4As.
Right.
I just feel like we're gonna be in the Midlands area, regardless we 5A or 4A though. So you know, we're looking forward to it. We just want to play and compete. You know, so the 5A or the 4A, it don't really matter to us.
Just go play football.
Yeah.
Just go play football. Of course, we were out there with you this spring, and one of the things real quickly before we go to break was your field. I mean, it was hot when you guys were practicing. And I was joking. I got to hurry up and get this interview in because I'm over here sweating, man. Is that field really 10 degrees, 15 degrees hotter than the grass field?
Oh, yeah, it is. It is. It's about 20 degrees, between 15 and 20 degrees hotter than the actual temperature outside. So, you know, our kids are used to it now. We practice on it every day during the summertime, so they're used to it. So, you know, we're glad to have the turf. We don't want them to take away the turf and go by the grass. Even though the grass is a little bit cooler, but we're thankful for the grass turf.
No doubt about it. Head football coach and AD out at Irmo High School, Coach Reggie Kennedy. Coach done a great job at Sumter. He's been around the Midlands for a long time, and no doubt he's going to do a great job over at Irmo. So we look to see later on the show, will he be in the Pastor Picks top 5 in this preseason? You might want to stick around and see that. We'll be back in a moment. You're watching Chick-fil-A Overtime with me, Corey Miller, on Watch Fox. And we're back. Jim Baxter now joins me in the hot seat. Again, thanks to Coach Reggie Kennedy of Irmo talking about this program. We're looking forward to see what the Yellow Jackets are going to get done in the 2015. Now, let's talk about kind of spring tour. You did your tour. I did my tour. We went around the Midlands and, you know, kind of saw teams. I know we both came away with different kind of ideas of what we think about the teams. But let's look at kind of some of the top teams in the Midlands that we saw this spring. And let's start, Jim, with Dutch Fork. I know that's your favorite. So let's start with Dutch Fork. Tell me about Dutch Fork and your spring tour.
Well, I like Dutch Fork. I mean, they went up to the Cam Newton 7-on-7 last week and won it. This is a team that when you look at them from last season, you think, oh, wow, they're in a complete rebuild mode. But honestly, you know, yes, Colburn's going to be tough to replace at running back, but this is a loaded football team. I mean, they've got good talent at every position. They're going to be strong. They're going to have a strong running game despite losing Colburn. They've got good players on the defensive side of the ball. They lost Lane Acton. They're going to miss him. They got Stephen Davis over there. Davis can play on both sides of the ball. He can actually help them on offense as well. The most important thing about Dutch Fork, though, and a lot of people don't like to hear this, but they're a well-coached team. This is a team that is going to be better prepared than anybody they play when they line up against them because Coach Knotts, that's what he does. He prepares his football teams for the games. He prepares as good as anybody I've ever seen, and that's why Dutch Fork wins. So he can do a little bit more with less than a lot of guys can do.
No doubt about it, but you have a new quarterback. Tate Fenton is gone. You talked about the best player on offense is gone. You're running back. I mean, so they're going to have some holes to fill, and yes, I agree. Well-coached team, prepared, motivated. I think they're going to be one of the best teams in the Midlands. Let's talk about a team that I like, Josh Stepp and the Lexington Wildcats. This is a team that I think also preparation, well-coached, motivated, good fan base, have fun, great on social media. I like the Wildcats.
I like them too. I told you off the air, this is probably the best looking football team I've seen in the spring. They're loaded at every position. They've probably got better skill players than anyone in the Midlands. Where they're hurting is on the front line. On the offensive line, they've got Hunter Blackman returning at the left tackle position, but other than that, they've got some holes to fill. Outstanding on the defensive side of the football, but I think what's going to happen out there, and I talked to Coach Stepp about this too, he's going to have to take a couple of those studs that he's got on that defensive line and play them both ways until that offensive line develops. He's going to have it. But if they can play well in the trenches, this is a team that could be very good.
Games are won and lost, Jim, in the trenches, so we'll see what happens there. Another team that was one of my favorite, probably 95% of last year, Westwood. Coach Flowers really does a great job over there. This team had the best defensive line in the Midlands, I thought, last year, but they lost a lot of those guys, and they're going to have to replace them.
They are, and I think that's the thing that concerns me about Westwood. They've got good talent coming back on the offensive side of the ball. I like their running back, Andrew Plant. I think he's one of the better power rushers in the state. But defensively, we talked about Westwood last year, and every time we talked about them, we talked about defense. They lost almost all of their starters. I think they got one starter returning on the defensive side of the football. So this is going to be a team that is going to be in a rebuild mode on the defensive side of the ball. I've got to see them in pads. I know they look good in 7-on-7. They look good in spring, but everybody looks good. You got to see them when the pads are strapped on.
Well, I saw them in some pads out there in the spring. I mean, they got some good pop out there.
You saw them, but who'd you see them against?
Each other.
Against each other.
And I met Coach Summers. I think I said Coach Flowers. Coach Summers, I'm sorry. I got caught up thinking about somebody else. But a team that's going to be intriguing. New coach Robin Bacon takes over at Spring Valley for Coach Dr. Jerry Brown, and the Vikings going to be with their quarterback Ryan Lee. Can they get some things done?
Ryan Lee's going to be, again, the key is going to be in the trenches. Can they get it done on the offensive line? They run that flex bone. The only difference in this and what they ran last year is you're going to see more passing, similar to what you saw when Miles Aldridge was there and Robin Bacon was calling the plays for him. I think that this team's got talent on the offensive side of the ball. I'm expecting big things from rising junior Sean Moore, who's been playing on the defensive side of the ball. He'll still see some time at safety, but they've got him in an A-back spot, and he could be a key on that offense. I think they're going to have to replace Kuhn at that B-back spot. That's vital for this offense is running that mesh, and they're going to have a good B-back to make this successful.
We'll see if Ryan Lee can lead this football team to some big numbers and some big wins. Coach Bacon, I like him as a coach. I think they'll do just fine. When we come back, yes, it's that time. Pastor Picks is on the docket. I'll tell you who are my top 5 teams in the Midlands based on the spring and my top 5 players in the Midlands. And yes, Jim will give you his too, which won't match to mine. That's all coming up after the break. Chick-fil-A Overtime rolls on. You're watching Chick-fil-A Overtime with me, Corey Miller, on Watch Fox. One of my favorite segments of this show, the Chick-fil-A Overtime. I'm Corey Miller, the pastor of Payne, alongside Jim Baxter of SCVarsity.com. And we love this segment each and every week. I mean, because so many coaches, so many players will respond to us via on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, why we're not in the top 5. Well, player, I should be in the top 5. It's kind of hard when you're talking about a lot of really good teams. We talked about this earlier. There are a lot of good teams in parity this year that we think is going to happen in 2015 in football season, but it's kind of difficult.
Can only be 5 in the top 5. I mean, that's all we got room for. And we have top 5 players. We only got room for 5.
Yep.
And now last year, you did the 4A and 4B thing. But we're not doing that this year.
No, we're going 1 through 5. I don't know. I mean, Westwood and Dutch Fork, they were neck and neck for me.
Make a commitment.
I'm going to commit early now. These rankings are based on what I saw in the spring. Went around, saw a lot of teams. Amber and I, as many as we could see, didn't see all of them. We saw about 95% of them. So this is based on what I saw this spring. Give me the screen. Here's my top 5. And yes, Dutch Fork, I cannot put them anywhere else but 1. I mean, Tom Knotts, you talk about well-coached, a lot of Gamecock former players over there coaching. They got still a lot of talent, even though they're losing players. I like Dutch Fork at number 1. And yes, if you want to say 1B, no, they're number 2. Westwood. Coach Summers, I went out there, spent a lot of time with those guys. Andrew Plant, the running back, he's back. They pound the football. Yeah, they need help on the defensive line, but I like them at number 2. And number 3, the guy that was just sitting in Jim's seat, Reggie Kennedy and the Irmo Yellow Jackets. And you're going to say, what do you mean? 2-9 last year. Well, I'll tell you what, this guy can coach. Tom Knotson coach, and yes, so can Coach Kennedy. They're going to bounce back. I saw this team. They're bigger, stronger, faster, had a great weight room. They'll be back. Number 4, Coach Dan Morgan. I was out at Blythewood. I like what I saw. David Israel at quarterback, a senior. He's going to lead this team. I think they're going to be a good football team here in the middle. So number 5, the Griffins of Fairfield Central. All they do is win. You can talk about who they lost. They just win games, Jim. There's my top 5. As far as my top 5 teams in the Midlands, I go through them real quick. The players, let's go. In the Midlands, I'm going to go through these guys real fast because I know we're up against time. Here we go. Stephen Davis. He's a linebacker. He can play anywhere on the field. Brandon Hill at Heathwood Hall. Don't sleep on him. He's at Duke. Larry Collins at Lower Richland, the wide receiver. He's a really good player. Brunson, coming off an injury with that hip, but he should be back at Northeast. And Ryan Lee, the quarterback at Spring Valley. All yours, Jim.
All right, we'll go to my top 5 on the teams. Dutch Fork, of course, number 1. I mentioned Lexington. Number 2, I like Josh Stepp. They were the best-looking skills team I've seen in the spring. I got Blythewood there. I think Blythewood's got to show me something, but Blythewood has a talent to go as far as they want to go. I like Irmo at number 4. We both got Irmo in there. I think Reggie Kennedy's going to do a good job this year. They're going to be a much improved football team. And I've got the Airport Eagles at number 5. There were about 3 teams that I could have slid in that spot. I like your pick. I like Fairfield Central in that spot, but I'm going to go with Airport Eagles. These guys, as far as the number 1s across the board, they're pretty darn strong. They got a good football team. Not a lot of depth, but they're very talented.
The players.
The players I got Stephen Davis, number 1. I think that's a no-brainer. We both got Stephen Davis. And again, these are prospects, not impact players. Jamarian Mathis, wide receiver, DB Saluda. Larry Collins, wide receiver at Lower Richland. I've got Brunson, number 4, Richland Northeast like you. And I like Nick Graves, defensive back, Lexington High School.
How can you put Nick Graves there and not that middle backer at Lexington?
Nick Graves is a Division I football player.
I like the middle linebacker. He's player of the week several times for me.
I like Trey as well. I think he's an outstanding football player, but I like Graves. I think Graves has got the potential to be a 3-year starter, maybe even a 4-year starter. You know, his dad was a 4-year starter at safety in college.
His dad can't play anymore.
That's
I
right.
was a 4-year starter, but
Nick's gonna be better than his dad. Hey, now Christian probably didn't play the trumpet either.
That's true. The trombone.
Trombone.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Again, we're just getting rolling. Again, many thanks to Chick-fil-A for being our sponsor and supporting us. We got a lot of great stuff coming to you every Thursday night at 11:05 in the Chick-fil-A Overtime. That's going to be a wrap. We'll see you next week.